You're about to hear something powerful, a practice that's existed in different forms for thousands of years. Today, we call it cognitive behavioral therapy, but its essence is ancient. The art of reshaping thought and perception. Once you see how your mind creates your reality, you can't unsee it. This audiobook is your space to observe, reflect, and rebuild your inner dialogue, to move from reaction to awareness. You can simply listen and let the words guide your focus, or follow along with the text on screen for a more intentional experience. Before we begin, share in the comments where you're listening from and one challenge you're facing in your growth right now. It's incredible to see how many of us are walking this path together. Let's begin. There is a secret that every great person in history has known, from the emperors of Rome to the visionary artists of the Renaissance. It is a secret that has been whispered in the halls of ancient temples and encoded in the texts of old philosophies. It is this: a man does not experience the world as it is, but as he is. His inner world, the swirling cosmos of his thoughts and beliefs, dictates the quality and color of his outer world. And if this is true, and 1,000 lifetimes of experience attest that it is, then the greatest power a man or woman can ever wield is the power to transform that inner world. This is the lost art of mental transmutation. Today, we call it cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and we present it in modern clinics with scientific studies. But do not be fooled by its contemporary clothing. What you hold in your hands is a manual for an inner alchemy so potent it can turn the lead of fear, doubt, and guilt into the pure gold of clarity, strength, and calm. The alchemists of old sought a physical stone to transform base metal. They failed in their literal quest, but they succeeded in leaving us a magnificent metaphor for the only transformation that truly matters, the transformation of the self. Consider the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who ruled one of the largest empires in history while facing war, plague, and betrayal. He did not have a modern therapist. He had a practice. He wrote in his private journal, now known as Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the foundational axiom of cognitive alchemy. Your suffering is not mandated by your circumstances, but by the meaning you assign to them. Your thoughts are the raw material, the unrefined ore of your reality. And what of the Hermetic principle? As within, so without. This is not a mystical abstraction. It is a psychological law. A mind chaotic with anxiety will project chaos onto a calm situation. A mind fortified with calm will find order and opportunity in the midst of chaos. Your internal state is the lens through which you perceive everything. Change the lens, and you change everything you see. This book is your guide to that change. It is a return to this fundamental wisdom framed in the clear, practical language of our time. We will walk this path together. You will learn to identify the base metals of your thinking, the automatic destructive thoughts that feel like undeniable truth. You will then learn to place them in the crucible of your conscious awareness, to apply the heat of logic and the catalyst of compassion, and to watch as they transmute into something of immense value. You were not born to be a prisoner of your own mind. You were born to be its master, its alchemist. This is your invitation to begin the greatest work of your life. The forge is ready. The fire is lit. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Furnace of Awareness, Catching Your Automatic Thoughts. A man once believed he was fundamentally unlikable. He would walk into a room and, if a single person did not immediately smile, his mind would whisper, "You see, they dislike you. You do not belong here." This thought was so quick, so quiet. It felt less like a thought and more like a simple fact of the universe. It was a drop of psychological lead, heavy and toxic, that would color his entire evening. He did not know he was an alchemist. He did not know he had the power to catch that drop of lead before it could poison his experience. This is where our work begins. In the furnace of awareness. Before the alchemist can transmute base metal into gold, he must first learn to identify the base metal. He must sift it from the earth and recognize it for what it is. In the realm of your mind, These base metals are your automatic thoughts. They are the instantaneous, reflexive interpretations of your world. They are not truth. They are mental habits, often born from past experiences, and they operate just below the surface of your conscious mind, shaping your emotions and actions with unseen power. The philosopher Epictetus, the Stoic slave who found a freedom most emperors never know, said it plainly 2,000 years ago. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Your boss's curt email is not what disturbs you. It is your automatic thought about it. He is angry with me. I have failed. I am going to be fired. That sequence of thoughts, which flashes through your mind in a millisecond, is what summons the cold dread in your stomach. The event itself is neutral, until your mind assigns it a meaning. Now, you might say, but these thoughts feel true. They feel real. And that is the greatest trick the mind plays on us. It presents its hasty interpretations as absolute reality. Your first and most crucial task as a cognitive alchemist is to build a furnace of awareness so bright that it illuminates these thoughts the moment they appear. You must become the watchman at the gates of your own perception. How does one do this? You must learn to pause. In the space between the event and your reaction, there is a sliver of possibility. It is in that sliver that your power resides. When you feel a sudden shift in your emotion, a surge of anxiety, a dip of sadness, a flash of anger, you must stop and ask yourself the fundamental question: what thought just passed through my mind? Write it down. Speak it aloud. Give it form. By dragging it out of the shadowy depths of your subconscious and into the clear light of your conscious awareness, you perform the first act of alchemy. You are no longer a passive victim of your thoughts. You are an observer, a scientist in the laboratory of your own life. You have taken the raw, base material and placed it in the crucible. This act alone is transformative. For when you can see the thought, you are no longer identical to it. You have begun the great work. Chapter 2. The Hermetic Principle. As within, so without. Imagine two men standing on a pier, looking out at the same stormy sea. The first man sees the churning waves and the howling wind, and his mind is filled with thoughts of danger, of shipwrecks, and of loss. He feels fear, his body tenses, and he retreats from the railing, his experience one of terror and threat. The second man looks upon the very same scene. He sees the raw power of nature, the majestic beauty of the untamed elements. His mind is filled with thoughts of awe and respect for the forces of the world. He feels energized, alive, and humbled. The sea is the same. The world is the same. The entire difference in their experience was created within them. This is the living truth of the Hermetic maxim: as within, so without. This ancient axiom, carved into the emerald tablet by the mythical sage Hermes Trismegistus, is not merely a spiritual suggestion. It is a precise description of the human experience. Your outer world will always reflect the quality and character of your inner world. Your persistent thoughts, your deep-seated beliefs, your habitual emotional patterns. This is the inner chemistry that determines the reality you perceive and inhabit. In the language of cognitive behavioral therapy, we see this principle in its most practical form. Your cognitions, your thoughts and beliefs directly influence your behaviors and your emotions. A man who holds the inner belief, "I am incapable," will, when faced with a challenge, have automatic thoughts that confirm this. He will then behave in ways that are hesitant and avoidant. And he will feel the emotions of anxiety and defeat. His outer world will thus become a place of limited opportunity, not because the opportunities were not there, but because his inner world filtered them out. His within created his without. Now, consider this. If your outer world is but a reflection of your inner state, then what is the most direct path to changing your circumstances? Most people spend their entire lives trying to rearrange the reflection. They buff the mirror, they angle it differently, they complain about its quality, all the while the source of the image, the inner self, remains unchanged. The cognitive alchemist knows a greater secret. He knows that to change the reflection, he must change the object being reflected. You are the sculptor of your inner world. The Stoics called this the prohoresis, the faculty of your moral choice, your ruling reason. It is your capacity to assent to one thought and dissent from another. When you take the base metal of a thought like, "This situation is a catastrophe," and you challenge it, when you reframe it to, "This situation is a challenge I can learn from," you are not just playing with words. You are performing an act of inner world engineering. You are changing the fundamental substance of your being. And as you do, you will watch, sometimes with astonishment, as your outer world begins to reorganize itself around this new golden core. The people you meet, the opportunities that arise, the very challenges you face will seem different because the you who is perceiving them has been fundamentally transmuted. Chapter 3. The Stoic Crucible. Separating event from interpretation. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, while leading his legions on the harsh and cold Germanic front, wrote words to himself that would echo through centuries. Choose not to be harmed, and you feel not harmed. Feel not harmed, and you are not. To the modern ear, this may sound like wishful thinking, a denial of reality. But the emperor was not speaking of physical harm. He was unveiling the deepest secret of psychological freedom. He was pointing to the crucial gap that the cognitive alchemist must learn to exploit. The gap between an event and our interpretation of it. In the laboratory of the mind, this gap is your crucible. It is the vessel where the transformation occurs. Most people live their lives with event and interpretation fused together as a single, solid, and unchangeable reality. My partner was late, and that means they don't respect me. The event, lateness, and the interpretation are welded together. The resulting emotional compound is anger and hurt. The cognitive alchemist learns to heat this compound in the Stoic crucible until the two elements separate. The first element, the event, is objective. It is the raw, unadorned fact, stripped of all story and meaning. My partner arrived at 8:15 p.m. for an 8 p.m. dinner reservation. That is all. It is a simple datum. The second element, the interpretation, is the entirely subjective narrative your mind creates to explain the event. They are always so inconsiderate. They know how important this was to me. This just proves I am not a priority. Do you see the alchemy now? The base metal is not the lateness. The base metal is the story of intentional disrespect and personal invalidation you have layered onto it. This story is the source of your suffering, not the simple fact of a clock reading 8:15. Your work is to develop the discipline of the Stoic sage. When a distressing event occurs, you must, with deliberate practice, place it in your mental crucible. You must ask yourself the timeless questions. What are the bare facts? And only the facts. What story am I telling myself about these facts? Is this story the only possible explanation? Very often, you will find that your initial, painful interpretation is just one of many possible narratives. Perhaps your partner hit unexpected traffic. Perhaps they had a draining day and their timing was off. Perhaps it was a simple, human mistake with no deeper meaning. By generating alternative, more compassionate or neutral explanations, you are not making excuses for others. You are liberating yourself from a prison of your own construction. You are breaking the fusion between event and interpretation. You are taking the molten, painful narrative and pouring it into a new, more empowering mold. You are turning the lead of perceived personal slight into the gold of emotional resilience and clear-sighted understanding. The event remains the same. But you, the alchemist, have been changed. Chapter 4. The Mental Magnum Opus. Rewriting Your Core Beliefs. Deep beneath the flowing river of your automatic thoughts, there lies the bedrock. These are the core beliefs, the silent architects of your reality. Formed in the fires of early experience and hardened over time, they are the fundamental statements you hold about yourself, about other people, and about the world. I am unlovable. The world is a dangerous place. People will always let you down. These are not mere thoughts. They are the very lenses through which you see everything, distorting all evidence to confirm their grim prophecy. This is the deepest and most profound work of the alchemist. the mental magnum opus, the great work of transmuting these core beliefs. Think of your automatic thoughts as weeds in a garden. You can spend your life clipping them at the surface, but if you do not pull them out by the root, they will always grow back. Your core beliefs are the root system. A man with a core belief of, "I am a failure," will effortlessly find 1,000 pieces of evidence to support it. A minor criticism becomes a devastating indictment. A single setback becomes a life sentence. He is not doing this on purpose. His mind is simply operating the machinery his core beliefs have installed. The Stoics understood this deeply. They spoke of the doxa, the unconscious beliefs and opinions that govern the unexamined life. To live a life of virtue and peace, one must bring these doxa into the light and subject them to the rigors of reason. This is your great work. You must journey into the depths of your own psyche and bring these foundational beliefs into the laboratory. How is this done? You must become a detective of your own mind. Track your automatic thoughts back to their source. When you find yourself consistently thinking, "I can't handle this," ask the deeper question. What does this say about what I believe about myself? The answer might be, it means I am weak. There it is. The core belief, I am weak. Now, you do not fight this belief with brute force. You do not simply shout, "I am strong," at it. That is like trying to paint over rust. Instead, you apply the alchemical process. You gather counter evidence. You look for every single instance in your life, no matter how small, where you demonstrated strength, resilience, or the ability to handle difficulty. You write them down. You build a case against the old limiting belief. You are not denying your past. You are building a more complete and accurate story about who you are. You are melting down the old brittle identity and recasting it with sturdier, more golden material. This is not a quick fix. It is the great work of a lifetime. But with each challenged core belief, you change the entire landscape of your mind. Chapter 5. The Athanor of Action, How Behavior Transmutes Emotion. In the old alchemical texts, the Athanor was the self-feeding, perpetual furnace that maintained a constant and perfect heat for the great work. It was the engine of transformation. In the cognitive alchemy of your life, there is a similarly powerful furnace. It is not your thoughts, but your actions. Your behavior is the athanor that can transmute the lead of stagnant fear into the gold of forward momentum and confidence. You can think yourself into a new way of acting, but more powerfully, you can act yourself into a new way of thinking and feeling. Consider a man gripped by the base metal of depression. His thoughts are heavy, his energy is low, and his core belief is, nothing matters. The intuitive response is to wait until he feels better to act differently. He waits for motivation to strike. But motivation is not the cause of action. It is most often the result of it. The cognitive alchemist understands this paradoxical truth. He knows that the feeling will not come first. The action must. The Stoics were men of action. Marcus Aurelius did not merely meditate on his thoughts. He rose each day and did his duty, even especially when he did not feel like it. He understood that virtuous action was the furnace that would burn away the clouds of doubt and despair. By acting as if he were courageous, he became courageous. By acting as if he were diligent, he became diligent. This is your secret tool. When the cognitive work feels abstract, when the thoughts seem relentless, turn to the athanor of action. It is a tool of immense power. If you feel socially anxious, the transmutation is not to wait until you feel confident to go to the social gathering. The transmutation is to go to the gathering, to practice a small act of courage. Say hello to one person. And in the doing, the feeling of capability begins to glow. You have generated the heat of experience, and that heat transmutes the emotional state. You are not a passive vessel for your emotions. You are an active participant in their creation. What is one small action you can take today that is in alignment with the person you wish to become? It need not be grand. A 5-minute walk, a single task completed, a short, kind message to a friend. Each of these actions is a piece of wood placed on the fire of your athanor. Each one generates the heat that melts the rigid, frozen states of fear and inertia. Do not underestimate the profound alchemy of a single, small, deliberate act. It is in these acts that you prove your new, golden beliefs to yourself, not in theory, but in the tangible reality of your lived experience. Chapter 6. The Universal Solvent, Mindfulness and the Art of Non-Judgment. The alchemists dreamed of a universal solvent, a substance they called alkahest, that could dissolve any material, reducing it to its primal essence. In the work of cognitive alchemy, we possess such a tool. It is not a chemical, but a state of mind. The practice of non-judgmental awareness, often called mindfulness. This is the alkahest that can dissolve the rigid, solid structures of your suffering, not by fighting them, but by seeing them with perfect clarity and without resistance. What does it mean to be non-judgmentally aware? It means to observe your thoughts and feelings as if you were a scientist observing a fascinating phenomenon, or a sky watching the clouds pass by. A thought arises. I am going to fail. The untrained mind immediately seizes upon it. It judges it as bad. It resists it. It tries to push it away. Or it becomes entangled with it, believing it to be a profound truth. This struggle is what gives the thought its power. It is like trying to smooth turbulent water. By pressing down on it, you only create more turbulence. The cognitive alchemist, armed with the universal solvent of mindfulness, does something radically different. He simply notices the thought. He says, internally, there is the thought that I am going to fail. He does not argue with it. He does not believe it. He does not hate it. He simply acknowledges its presence. In that simple act of observation, a magical separation occurs. You are no longer the thought. You are the awareness of the thought. The Stoic sage Epictetus provided the key when he said, "Don't let the force of an impression when it first hits you knock you off your feet. Just say to it, hold on a moment. Let me see who you are and what you represent. Let me put you to the test." This holding on a moment is the application of the universal solvent. It creates a space. It dissolves the automatic, reactive chain that leads from thought to suffering. This practice is the essence of mental transmutation. You are not changing the base metal by hammering it into a different shape. You are dissolving its solidity, its apparent permanence, by bathing it in the profound, accepting awareness of your own consciousness. When you stop fighting a feeling of anxiety, when you simply observe the physical sensations with curiosity, you dissolve its power over you. You turn the leaden weight of resistance into the golden lightness of acceptance. And in that acceptance, true change finally becomes possible. Chapter 7. The Emerald Tablet, Cognitive Reframing, and the Law of Polarity. The legendary Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus begins with a statement that has captivated seekers for millennia. That which is above is like to that which is below, and that which is below is like to that which is above, for the performance of the miracles of the one thing. This speaks to a fundamental law of the universe, the law of polarity. Everything has its opposite. There is no light without dark, no heat without cold, no success without failure, and within every situation, no matter how dire, lies the seed of its opposite, the potential for good within the bad, for opportunity within the obstacle. This ancient law is the theoretical foundation for one of the most powerful tools in cognitive alchemy, cognitive reframing. Reframing is the practice of consciously shifting your perspective on a situation to see the alternative polarity contained within it. It is not about denying difficulty or pretending something painful is wonderful. It is about recognizing that your initial, painful frame is not the only one available. The miracle of the one thing your perception is that it can perform the miracle of transforming your experience by simply choosing to look from a different angle. The Stoics were masters of this art. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would mentally rehearse potential losses and setbacks, not to become pessimistic, but to discover that within the frame of every feared event was an opportunity for virtue. The loss of wealth, an opportunity to practice frugality and discover inner resourcefulness. The onset of illness, an opportunity to practice patience and courage. They actively sought the hidden polarity in every circumstance. Your mind is a master framer. It places a border and a label on every event in your life. This is a disaster. This is an injustice. This is a failure. Your work as an alchemist is to take that framed picture down from the wall and ask, could this be placed in a different frame? The project that failed, is it a frame of my incompetence? Or could it be reframed as a vital lesson that has prepared me for future success? The difficult conversation you must have, is it a frame of a terrifying confrontation, or could it be reframed as an opportunity to build deeper honesty and respect? When you reframe, you are not lying to yourself. You are expanding your vision to see the full picture, the complete polarity, as the Hermetic philosophers advised. You are looking for the gold that is already inherent in the leaden situation. You are performing the miracle of changing the one thing you truly can command, your mind. And in doing so, you change everything. Chapter 8. The Calcination of Fear, Facing the Shadow to Find Strength. In the alchemical process, calcination was the first major operation. It involved heating a substance in an open fire until it was reduced to a fine, white ash. It was a process of destruction, of burning away the volatile, superficial elements to reveal the fundamental essence beneath. In the psyche, the base metal that most requires this fierce initial fire is fear. Fear is the volatile element that must be calcined, faced, confronted, and burned away to reveal the strength that lies at your core. Every person carries a shadow, a repository of fears, insecurities, and perceived weaknesses. Most spend their lives running from this shadow, hoping to outpace it. They avoid the situations, conversations, and challenges that make the shadow grow larger. But the alchemist knows a greater truth. You cannot outrun what is already a part of you. The only way to be free of the shadow is to turn and face the fire. The only way to transmute fear is to walk directly into it. This is the Stoic virtue of courage in its purest form. It is not the absence of fear, but the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself that the obstacle itself becomes the way. The very thing you fear, when faced, becomes the path to your growth. The fear of public speaking, when confronted, becomes the path to finding your voice. The fear of rejection, when faced, becomes the path to self-reliance. How does one calcium fear? You do not do it by thinking it away. You do it through gradual, deliberate exposure. You must enter the fire. If you fear social situations, you calcium that fear by attending one, and staying for 5 minutes longer than is comfortable. If you fear failure, you calcine it by attempting a small, manageable task where the stakes of failure are low. In the fire of that experience, something magical happens. The volatile elements of your anxiety, the catastrophic imagery, the racing heart begin to burn away. You are left with the white ash of a simple truth. I survived. I did it. I am still here. That white ash is the essence of your strength. It is the proof that you are more than your fear. Each time you calcine a fear, you gather this ash, this fundamental proof of your resilience. You use it to build a new, more solid foundation for your character. The fear may never fully vanish, but its power over you will be reduced to a whisper. You will have turned the lead of paralyzing terror into the gold of unwavering fortitude. Chapter 9. The Conjunction of Heart and Mind. The Alchemy of Self-Compassion. After the destructive fires of calcination, the alchemist would begin the process of conjunction, the bringing together of separate, purified elements to create a new, unified whole that was greater than the sum of its parts. In your psychological work, after you have faced your fears and challenged your harsh thoughts, a crucial conjunction must take place. The marriage of your logical mind and your compassionate heart. This is the alchemy of self-compassion, the process that turns the base metal of self-condemnation into the gold of self-acceptance. For too long, you have likely been a harsh taskmaster to yourself. You have applied logic as a weapon, using it to catalog your flaws and failures. You have believed that being hard on yourself was the only way to motivate change. But this is a profound error. You cannot hate yourself into a version of yourself you can love. The whip of self-criticism only drives you deeper into the states of anxiety and shame that generate the very thoughts you wish to change. The Stoics, often misunderstood as being emotionally cold, in fact preached a profound form of self-compassion rooted in their view of humanity. They believed that every person is doing the best they can with the understanding they have at the time. When you make a mistake, the Stoic response is not to flagellate yourself, but to see it as a lesson in wisdom, to forgive yourself as you would a well-intentioned child who is still learning, and to resolve to do better next time. This is the conjunction. The clear-eyed logic of, "I made a mistake," is united with the compassionate heart of, "and I am a human being, learning and growing." This is not self-pity. It is not making excuses. It is the essential nutrient for growth. Imagine a gardener who, upon seeing a stunted plant, begins to yell at it and withhold water. This is what you do when you engage in self-hatred. The alchemist of self-compassion sees the same stunted plant and says, "What does this need? Different soil? More sunlight? Less water?" He tends to it with gentle, knowledgeable care. You must learn to speak to yourself as a wise and kind mentor would. When the automatic thought arises, "You are such an idiot for that mistake." The conjunction occurs when you pause and respond, "That is a harsh thought. I made a mistake, which is human. What can I learn from this? How can I be kinder to myself in this moment?" In this space, the war within you ends. The mind and heart are conjoined, and from this union is born a new, more resilient and whole self, capable of true and lasting transformation. Chapter 10. The Projection of the Golden Life, Living as a Cognitive Alchemist. The final stage of the alchemical process was called projection. This was when the powdered philosopher's stone, the final transmuting agent, was cast upon a base metal, instantly turning it into gold. It was the culmination of the great work. For you, the cognitive alchemist, projection is not a one-time event. It is a way of being. It is the daily, moment-to-moment practice of casting the golden light of your transformed awareness onto the world, thereby transforming your entire life into a more refined, peaceful, and powerful experience. A man does not become a cognitive alchemist merely by reading a book. He becomes one by living the principles until they are as natural as breathing. The work is never truly finished, for life is a continuous flow of events and challenges. But the difference is profound. Where once he was a victim of his thoughts, he is now their master. Where once he saw only lead, he now sees potential gold. He has internalized the Hermetic law, and his inner world, now cultivated with care, projects a golden reality. This is the ultimate Stoic ideal, the sage, the person who has achieved a state of apatheia. Not apathy, but freedom. This freedom is not a cold emptiness, but a profound and warm calm, a clarity of perception that allows him to meet the world with virtue and strength, regardless of the circumstance. He has projected his inner peace onto the chaos of the world. So, how does one live as a cognitive alchemist? It is a practice of perpetual return. You will forget. You will, in moments of stress, fall back into old, leaden patterns. The work is to notice this with kindness and without self-judgment, to simply return to the furnace of awareness, to return to the crucible and separate event from story, to return to the athanor of action. It is a gentle, persistent application of all you have learned. Your life is your laboratory. Every interaction is an experiment. Every challenge is an opportunity to practice the great work. You now hold the secret that has been passed down through the ages. You are the heir to the Stoic sages and the Hermetic philosophers. You are no longer a passive bystander in your own life. You are an active participant, a creator, a transmuter. Go forth now and project your golden mind onto the world. See not with the eyes of fear, but with the eyes of possibility. Listen not to the voice of doubt, but to the voice of inner authority. You are the alchemist. Your life is the great work. Let it be golden.